Going on, guys? It's Tuesday. It's May 24th. It's been a while since I've kind of gone on a little bit of a rant. But I wanted to talk today about pro cards, like attaining your pro status. And I think as younger athletes, myself included, when I was a younger buck, trying to get my pro card, you know, that was definitely a lofty goal, but a good goal to have, especially as an amateur, to have that goal. And I worked extremely hard to try to attain pro status. But what I know now as an older athlete, when I look back in hindsight, that at the time, when I was younger and natural bodybuilding for me was really something that I knew of in the late 90s. And so prior to that, my first few years of competing, I didn't know you could even attain a pro card. So I was just competing for the love of it I was competitive though. I wanted to win shows I was doing, but I really loved what I was doing. And it wasn't about, saying, hey, look, I'm pro. It was more about, hey, I'm competing because I love to compete and I'm competitive and I want to win shows. That was it. It wasn't about having that pro status so I can put on my Facebook wall or put on my Instagram or anything, because that didn't exist. There was no internet back then. But in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's when I learned, like, okay, I could actually turn pro. So that became a goal. But what I know now and what I didn't know then is that I wasn't ready to turn pro. I did have a pretty good physique in the early 2000s, and I came pretty close to winning pro cards. In 2000, I was one guy short. In 2002, I was 1 point short. And then in 2006, when I competed again, I really didn't enter a show that offered a pro card. So it wasn't until 2009, at the age of 38, when I won my pro card. And in hindsight, back in 2000, when I was a bodybuilder short, like, I just think, like, if I would have won my pro card then, and I was 29 years old at the time, I know, like, physically I didn't have enough development to really do anything in the pros, even if I did get the pro card. But mentally and maturity wise, I just wasn't ready. Like, I think if I would have earned pro status back then, I think because I had somewhat of an ego back then, that it would have only have inflated my ego more. And it probably, because of my ego was inflated, I had a bigger head, it probably would have prevented me from bettering myself moving forward, because again, just that ego can really kind of just hinder your progress. So it's very important to have an open mind to keep bettering yourself. So, in hindsight, I don't think I was ready. And kind of what I see now is I see a lot of younger athletes, and even younger than me when I was 29, like in their early 20s, even some 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, thinking and assuming that, pro status is something that's going to be attainable, at that time. And on rare occasions, we do have those Kobe Bryants of the world, those LeBron James, where they come out of high school, then they go straight to the pros. So we do have that in natural bodybuilding from time to time. You get these younger guys, nice genetics, good work ethic, and they attain their pro card. But then the question is, you got to go to shark infested waters. Now you have your Brian Whitakers, your Doug Millers, Siobhan Cunningham, just to name a few, Cleveland Thomas. You got these elite guys, Marshall Johnson. You got these elite guys at the top that you go against these guys, and they're going to make you look like, you're still in high school. So I think, for me, looking back in hindsight, I'm really just glad that, my path ended up, being one that I got my pro card years later, after I've matured my body and also matured my mind. And, you know, when I think of natural bodybuilding, I think the system, just there's so many different federations. You have small shows, medium shows, big shows, and I'm talking like amateur, on the amateur level, that they're offering pro cards at every tier. It's like there's no like set tier. Like you think football, you think okay, you got to go to high school, college, play college, then you're in the pros. Basketball is kind of similar, college. I mean, high school, college, pros. So each major sport has some type of tier system that's pretty legit. But natural bodybuilding, to me, it's very much all over the place. And the thing is that if you win a pro card at a small show, again, you got to go to shark infested waters. And I think, when I coach my athletes, I have to give them realistic expectations and to understand that if they're not genetic outliers, they're not freaks, that, your path to the pros might be a long one. And I recall back in 2000, I competed at the Cap City, which is now the WMBF Muscle Mayhem in Sacramento. That I competed as an amateur there, and I ended up taking third place in my class. I wasn't close to a pro card at that show, but I remember sitting in the audience watching Dave Gooden, who was the guest poser, and Dave Gooden's considered, one of the best natural bodybuilders that we've seen. I remember watching him guest posing, just thinking like someday I want to get to that. But I knew it wasn't going to happen like now. And I kind of had to come to full circle back in 2015, last year, when I guest posed at the Central Valley Classic. And after I was done guest posing, they brought me to the podium to talk. And basically, what I was telling was, I recall sitting in the audience watching Dave Gooden do the guest posing and thinking, someday I'm going to get there. And basically, it just took patience, it took perseverance, took hard work, consistency, um, and eventually I got there. And the thing is now I'm going to be 45. So last year I was 44. So it took me a long time to get that development, to get that, not only muscle maturity, but the maturity as a person to get me to that specific time as far as guest posing. Um, so I got this trophy here. Basically, this is my very first trophy, and as you can see, it's one of those tall plastic trophies. This was from 1993, and it's so old that the plaque came off of it. But basically, the 1993 Fremont Bodybuilding Championships in California, I took first in the junior, and I was 22 years old. So from that point, 1993, to going from like an amateur show at the junior level, juniors back then, I think it was like under 22 years old or something like, or no, under 23. So under 23 because I was 22. But anyway, to go from that level to the highest level at in natural bodybuilding, and this was in 2014. This is the medal at the WBF Worlds, and this one is for fourth place. And so I had to basically swim with the sharks. And again, there's three other sharks in my class that ate me up. Basically it was Cleveland Thomas, Siobhan Cunningham, and Levi Burge. They basically they took me out. And to think, even at 44, here I am, 30 years of training, I'm still, just fighting to work my way up. So again, if you're young, and it's only your first or second season, you have to understand that you not only need to build your physique, a good quality physique, dense, shredded, conditioned, symmetrical, good physique to win a pro card. But you also have to next move into shark infested waters. So even at my age, I'm still taking these extended off seasons to keep improving. From the first time I stepped on a pro stage was at the age of 40. And then I didn't come back until the age of 43 to work on some things. In my first season as a pro, at the world level at the Yorton Cup, I took seventh. And then And then I'm like, okay, I got to take some time to improve. And I took, another 2 years off, came back, took fourth at the Worlds, and then now here I am again, taking 2 more years off, going to be competing in 2017 to hopefully move up, a little bit higher. But it's, again, in a nutshell, it's taken me years to get into the ocean and to swim with the sharks. So yeah, you just, again, you can't expect to go from high school to pros unless you're a genetic freak, for the most part. And and once you get to the pros, you're now in shark infested waters. So make sure that when you get into those waters, you're not a little tiny fish. You're at least a smaller shark. So other than that, that's kind of my rant. Hopefully it helps somebody out there. Remember, have patience, enjoy the journey. That's pretty damn important, that you enjoy the process as you go, and don't let your eagerness, to be pro or to win a world title or anything like that get in the way of you having fun on a daily basis. So enjoy the ride as you go. All right, I'm out.